Leads by 16 points from Mamela. Mamela second and Roberts third. It's there are 28 laps, and that's 82 miles over this circuit. Extremely hot. The man with the Union Jack, who is going to start the race, is standing in front of the riders. He's starting to walk slowly back across the circuit now, up into the starters' rostrum. All the riders are off their machines, most of them on the left-hand side to push. In fact, all of them just one rider on the right-hand side of the machine to push. They're straining now. They've got the front brake on. They're leaning on the handlebars to get the weight pushing forward. The flag goes and away. Now, Crosby has got a superb start. Graham Crosby in pole position, and Freddie Spencer has got the Honda firing well, and it's Kenny Roberts second, and Barry Sheen third, and Marco Lucinelli in fourth position. Number 4 is Crosby. Graham Crosby, the New Zealand rider on the Works Suzuki, leads Kenny Roberts, the world champion, as they go round the left-hander at Maggots. Now up into 6th gear, down towards Beckett's, where they go right down through the gearbox into second. Over 8,000 RPM, round Beckett's, and it is Crosby leading Roberts, leading Sheen in third position. And in fourth position, it's Marco Lucinelli, and you see them back to the right and the left, and now they go down the Hanger Straight with Crosby, Roberts, Sheen, Lucinelli, Mamola, and then Port Ballington on the Kawasaki. From Stowe up to Club Corner. From Club up to Abbey. It's 5th gear and up to 135 miles an hour here. Now into top gear, nearly 150 miles an hour. Then they have to anchor up after Abbey for Woodcote, the tremendously fast right-hander. No chicane for the motorcycles, unlike the car Grand Prix. And it is Graham Crosby leading at the end of lap 1 with 27 laps to go. Kenny Roberts, Sheen is challenging Roberts. Then it's Lucinelli, and behind Lucinelli, Mamola. And behind Mamola is Cork Ballington, and Lucinelli is starting to close on the 3 in front of him. Barry Sheen has had trouble with his tyres in a lot of races this year. There he is, the world champion of 1976 and 1977. With that peculiar riding stance of his caused by injuries that he had in Daytona many years ago. And it's still Crosby. Sheen in third position. The world champion, Kenny Roberts, in second place. Marco Lucinelli, the world championship leader, in fourth place. In the red helmet in the background is Randy Mamola. And Roberts leads. Kenny Roberts, then, who had trouble with his tyres, and more about this, takes the lead.
We noticed that Kenny used every advantage from the slipstream there and was able to pull out and pass Graham Crosby just as entering the breaking point. This shows.
So there you go. It's Kenny Roberts. Now, is this tremendously gritty New Zealander, Graham Crosby, who most of us had never heard of a couple of years ago, going to be able to challenge the reigning world champion? Kenny Roberts said to me before, and he is. Roberts takes the lead again. Roberts goes into the lead at Woodcote. So Crosby leads. Then Roberts, then Sheen, behind Sheen, Marco Lucinelli, all 4 together with Randy Mamola 5th.
Well, these machines seem so evenly matched on power that this seems the name of the game. This slipstreaming and this taking the sort of corner, entering Woodcote.
Keith Ewan, the man who did so well in the 350 race at the beginning of the afternoon, finishing in second place, is out of the 500 class already on his Suzuki. Hard luck, but Graham Crosby on his Suzuki is still very much in the running. Leading on lap 3, number 4, Graham Crosby. Roberts next, Sheen third, number 2, Marco Lucinelli fourth, number 3, Randy Mamola is in 5th position, and off goes Graham Crosby, and past him goes Lucinelli. That looks like Barry Sheen off as well, but was it? That's Crosby. He's getting down behind the barrel, behind the hay bale, and immediately goes to the assistance of his fellow competitor. And I think Marco Lucinelli has got through. The yellow flag's waving to warn the competitors behind them that somebody has come off.
No, I think Lucinelli went as well, Mo.
Here we go. Here's a replay. Let's have a look at it. Graham Crosby.
Here we have...
Watch Graham Crosby's rear wheel. He's still got control of the bike. He heels it right over. And away it goes. Completely lost adhesion. A great puff of rubber smoke. Down goes Crosby. He looks as though he's got his leg mostly clear. Through goes Roberts. So Roberts got through there anyway. And there's another machine. That's Barry Sheen coming into the picture, all doubled up. And past him, that's Marco Lucinelli. So Lucinelli keeps rolling. Graham Crosby is kicking the machine away from him. Barry Sheen is off. The race continues, and it is now into lap 4. And on lap 4, the race order after this contretemps on the earlier lap, in the lead now is Randy Mamela, and in second position is Kenny Roberts, and in third place Cork Ballington. And that's Marco Lucinelli, who is way down now, of course, because a lot of riders went past him. And you can see marshals in the background waving them down because they're coming up to the danger point. And look at Cork Ballington. Cork Ballington in the green leathers is coming up extremely well. In fact, Ballington is challenging now. Ballington is right up with the leaders. So it's Kenny Roberts leading as they come into Woodcote at the end of lap 4. Kenny Roberts leading. Then it's Mamela. Cork Ballington is in third position, and Jack Middelberg, the Dutchman, is in fourth place. Well, going round the outside of Randy Mamela. I remind you that Lucinelli is out of the running. Barry Sheen is out. Graham Crosby is out. Drama right at the beginning of the British Grand Prix, but now Kenny Roberts and Mamela and Cork Ballington and Jack Middelberg all virtually locked together and overlapping, and Freddie Spencer on the Honda is in fifth position. We'll be able to see the gap soon between these four. This is the battle for the lead, and this is lap 5 out of 28.
Jack Middelberg, third fastest in practice, is there now in fourth place.
And we've heard the news that Barry Sheen is up on his feet, and we believe that he is okay.
Well, that was terrible luck for Barry. I think what happened was that they were so dicing into the corner, leaving their braking to the very latest point, that Crosby had to sort of try and tighten the corner, and when he went to apply the power, it was just a little too much angle on the machine, and as you see, he just ploughed the back wheel away. What was so disappointing was, of course, taking out Barry and
Graham Crosby. Now, but this is tremendously interesting. In that fracas, Lucinelli went right down. These are the leaders, but Marco Lucinelli is now virtually last, and he is certainly out of the points. Now, not in my wildest imagination did I dream that Marco Lucinelli would be out of the top. There he is. There he is. Okay, there is Marco Lucinelli. We just saw a flash of him, and here are the leaders coming up to Beckett's on lap 6 out of 28 in this already tremendously dramatic British Grand Prix. And the thing that I think is of tremendous significance as we look at Marco Lucinelli, who had to slow right down and go off the course in that lap 3, falling of Sheen and Crosby, and Roberts having to go through. Roberts is leading now. Mamela is second. Cork Ballington is going better in this Grand Prix than I've ever seen him go before.
Well, talking to Cork in practice, he was very concerned about the anti-dive characteristics on the front of the Kawasaki, but it appears from this that he certainly made some improvements in that last practice.
Cork Ballington, that's the rider in the green leathers on the green Mini Kawasaki. The highest placing that he's had in a Grand Prix so far this year is third in Holland. The Kawasaki was introduced last year, the 500. That's number 9 that we're looking at now, and he's in 3rd position on lap 6. He's being ridden by Cork Ballington, who is 4 times world champion in the 250 and 350 classes in 1978 and 79. But now, into lap 7, Kenny Roberts, number 1, the reigning world champion, leads, fighting against Randy Mamela, who has now retaken the lead from Roberts, and Cork Ballington is not losing an inch on any of them.
Interesting point watching Cork was the way he picked them up coming into Woodcote. The Kawasaki is a much longer wheelbase machine, and it seems to have that little extra stability coming into the fast corners there.
And Marco Lucinelli is 11 seconds in front of these competitors. There he is, he's 11 seconds in front of them on the course, but he's nearly a full lap behind them in terms of race distance. And he's really going to have to fight to get up to 10th position or higher in order to get World Championship points. I say again, he's leading the World Championship by 16 points at the moment, 15 points for a win. But if he doesn't get up into at least 10th position, and let us say Randy Mamela won the race, there would be a very, very close situation. Indeed, only 1 point in it for the lead of the World Championship. Lucinelli finishing a lap. Behind him, Kenny Roberts, Randy Mamela, Cork Ballington, 1st, 2nd, 3rd on Yamaha, Suzuki and Kawasaki machines. Into Woodcote, 120 miles an hour, change up into 5th gear, up to nearly 140, 145 miles an hour here, break down into 3rd for Cox Corner. Roberts, number 1, Mamela, number 3, Ballington, number 9.
We must also look out for number 11 there, which is just coming into the picture. This is Jack Middleburg, who is in fact a private owner, and has been doing a wonderful job qualifying, as you know, 3rd on the grid here.
Jack Middleburg in 7th position in the World Championship. There he is in the background, number 11. And he's a multi-Dutch champion, many times being Dutch champion, 7th in the 500cc World Championship in 79 and 9th last year. And incidentally, Middleburg in 4th position smashed his knee very badly here in 1979, but he followed up last year and came right to the top when he won his own Grand Prix in Holland, and he is indeed closing up on Randy Mamela, Cork Ballington, who is up into 2nd position, and the race leader Kenny Roberts. And all the time, these 4 are catching Lucinelli, and it's quite likely that Lucinelli is going to have to suffer the ignominy of being passed by the people that he is actually challenging and leading in the World Championship.
Interesting point when watching Middleburg is his style. It's not the exaggerated off-the-seat style that is now generally adopted. It's more of the original Italian style of the 50s.
Right, watch the knees come out. You see them almost scrape the ground. Some of them actually have football studs in their leathers on the knee to scrape along the ground and warn them when they're touching it and not wear out the leather on the knees of their trousers. Middleburg, 4th position, and he sees ahead of him the battle for the lead, and the battle for the lead comes into the heat haze and out of it. And it's Mamela leading. Mamela has got ahead of his fellow countryman Kenny Roberts. Cork Ballington is down to 3rd position. Jack Middleburg on the left is closing up. Suzuki leads, Yamaha 2nd. Yamaha leads because Roberts goes through. The Honda, ridden by Freddie Spencer, is in 6th position. In 5th position is the Frenchman Bernard Foe. And Randy Mamela still has time to take his hand off the handlebars and look round to see where Kenny Roberts is, and he must have got quite a shock because there was Roberts eyeballing him from just over his left shoulder.
I reckon this means that he's basically pacing himself. He's trying to slow the race, if anything, rather than go along and sort of go Mad Hatters to do the fastest lap. At this stage, I think they're very much considering the performance of the tyres, the question that it's a very hot day and that they need to finish.
Roberts across the line, Mamela, Cork, Ballington, and it's now breaking up slightly into two groups, but not for very long, I think, because Ballington closes right up on Mamela. Mamela is right with number 1, Kenny Roberts, the race leader, and Jack Middleburg is right behind them. First, second, third, fourth. Foe is still in 5th position, and Freddie Spencer, riding magnificently, having got that Honda going at the beginning of the race, seemingly without any problems, is still in 6th position. And Lucinelli is now only 7.5 seconds ahead of the leaders. And I remind you, 7.5 seconds in time, but nearly a full lap in distance. Into the hangar straight on lap 10 out of 28. First, second, third, fourth together. On the left, Roberts. And Cork Ballington is now up into 2nd position.
And Roberts is in the lead.
Middleburg is right up alongside Mamela and momentarily had 3rd position.
Of course, Middleburg could be the fly in the ointment here, because he is the one who has nothing to lose but everything to gain, perhaps even a works ride next year.
Kenny Roberts, number 1, because he is world champion, not just in 1980, but in 1979 and 1978 as well. Acknowledging that he has little chance of winning the World Championship. At least he acknowledged before the race that that was in a situation where he, like me, could not envisage Marco Lucinelli not finishing in the points, and Lucinelli is showing no sign of that at the moment. Roberts leads, Mamela number 3, second, Middleburg is up to 3rd, number 11, and Cork Ballington is down to 4th. There is Lucinelli. Now let's look back. There, it's only that short bit of track distance and time that separates Marco Lucinelli, the World Championship leader, from being lapped.
I think this is, in fact, a great compliment to Lucinelli. To have gone through that situation and still kept his cool is very, very important. Normally, the sort of Italian temperament might have come forth and he would have sort of thrown it up the road. This shows that he's riding with his head.
Well, somebody who isn't riding at all now, unfortunately, is Freddie Spencer. After all the complimentary and well-deserved things I said about him, he has just ridden out of the race at Woodcote and is forlornly pushing his machine into the pits. Freddie Spencer pushing his machine into the pits, the 4-stroke Honda, the only 4-stroke in the race, and it is out of it.
I just hope, however, that this doesn't discourage Honda too much, that they can continue to persevere with it, because it's good to see them back in racing, and it's good to see them trying to break in with a 4-stroke.
On all this lot are 2 strokes, of course. Roberts leading. Mamela leads. Optical illusion as they come into the right-hander at Woodcote all together. It's anybody's lead for a moment, but it's Roberts now, Middleburg 2nd, Mamela 3rd, and Cork Ballington right with them in 4th place. I cast my mind back to that marvellous scrap for the lead that we had in 1979, Sheen against Roberts, with Will Hartog, who is now retired there as well. I think this is even better, and the vast crowd that you can see all around the circuit is enjoying every second of it.
Well, of course, when you get the racing as close as this, with each rider trying to steal the other's corner, you're in fact slowing the race slightly. And you notice that they're lapping in about 1:33.3 at the moment, as against the fastest lap in practice of 1:30.4. But this is only natural because of this closeness and this, shall we say, stealing of the corners which is taking place.
Well, you see the first 4 together. In 5th position is Frenchman Bernard Foe on a Suzuki, number 10. In 6th position is number 16, Mark Fontaine on a Yamaha. In 7th position is Bert van Dulmen, the Dutchman. And in 8th position, behind him, is Stu Avant, the New Zealander, who is riding a Suzuki. And furious. You've heard from John Surtees the lap times and situations in comparison with the lap record, which is still held by Barry Sheen from 1979, 1 minute to 29.98 seconds, and that's a speed of 117.1 miles an hour. Lucinelli completes another lap, and then almost a lap ahead of him, through go Mamela, Roberts, Ballington and Middleburg, and here they come down to Copse on lap 13.
And that lap was about a second a lap faster, so now perhaps Mamela is trying to make a break.
Mamela said before this race began he was going to see if anybody tried to make the pace, and if they didn't, he would. He said he was going to sit and watch points, and it looks as though he may be doing just that. Randy Mamela won this race, the British Grand Prix, last year. This incredible young man, who is still only 21, who has nevertheless been racing for 9 years out of his 21. And through goes Mamela, and right behind him go Roberts, Ballington, Middleburg as quickly as that. Mamela very much a child prodigy in racing, the son of enormously enthusiastic motorcycle racing parents, the American 250 champion as long ago as 1978. He came to Europe only in 1979. He swept all before him and then joined the Suzuki Works team in 1980. And he's very much a protege of the man who's racing against him, Kenny Roberts. This is lap 13, and it's a 28-lap race. Under the bridge, in the lead, Mamela. And it looks to me, John, as though Mamela is actually starting to pull out a bit and build up some superiority.
Well, again, this was another sort of half a second faster. This was another half a second faster, so I think that's the case. He's possibly going to have a few laps when he puts the pressure on and sees whether he can sort of get away. Then, if not, he'll start to slow the race again until a later stage. I think this is the sort of tactics he's going to adapt.
Well, let us wait and see as they go into Beckett's again and out of the saddle and shifting his weight onto the right to keep the machine up as much as he can and keep the maximum tyre rubber on the ground and therefore maximise his grip goes Randy Mamela, and he now sees Marco Lucinelli in his sights. Lucinelli is lapping in 1 minute 33.7. Mamela is lapping at 1 minute 33 exactly, and that is a speed of 113.3 miles an hour, about 4 miles an hour slower than Barry Sheen's lap record. So it does look as though indeed Mamela is controlling the race from the front. Mamela leads, Roberts second, Ballington third, Middleburg fourth, Faux fifth and Fontaine sixth. But how long is it going to stay like that?
Well, the way...
Well, what a race, and it's scheduled to finish at 4:10. We should then be in nice time to take the last few overs before tea in the test. Australia 5 wickets down now. Their target, remember, 151. And rest assured, we'll have the climax to a thrilling motor racing Grand Prix in Germany at approximately 4:40. That's our plan at the moment.
No change. The first four are still together. And it's still Randy Mamela just leading. Number 2 is Marco Lucinelli, who is slipping back all the time. This titanic scratch for the lead of the 1981 Marlborough British Grand Prix here at Silverstone is climaxing all the time, if that's possible, and Randy Mamela rides right round the outside of Kenny Roberts, an astounding manoeuvre. If you can ride round the outside of Kenny Roberts on a corner, you can truly say you've arrived. And now Roberts fights back.
Yes, there's no real point in it there, because all what happened was that Mamela came to the corner first, but Roberts was able to pick up a little slipstream and then be in a better position to outbrake.
And the news of Barry Sheen that we have just had given to us, and it's official, is that he only has a gashed hand. A very, very lucky man, and Graham Crosby is perfectly okay. So a very nasty looking fall on the third lap, but happily no real problems in terms of physical injuries, but a lot of mental injury, of course, to Graham Crosby, who went out. Well, he might well have won the race, and Barry Sheen too. But Roberts, number 1, leads. Mamela, number 3, second on the Suzuki, and Roberts on a Yamaha. Cork Ballington on the Kawasaki, holding on superbly, staving off the fourth man, Middleburg, and they are all closing on number 2, Marco Lucinelli, who leads the World Championship, who looks over his shoulder despairingly, and that is what he sees. Roberts and Mamela. Cork Ballington either can't or doesn't want to do anything about it, and nor can Middleburg.
I don't think he really can do anything about it. In practice, he was that much down on times, and at the present sort of stage of the race, these two are obviously tending to sort of feel each other out. It may be that with the temperature, the lap time is the sort of best sort of time they can do, but I'm sure that they can get away from Cork in the later stages if they wish.
John, and there's look, incredible. There's Marco Lucinelli. He knows they've caught him. He gives a cheery wave. He's called Lucky, and he's known for being a great practical joker and full of fun. He wasn't full of fun when John Surtees and I tried to talk to him this morning. He was in such a state of nerves that he was haranguing everybody, but now he seems to have recovered, and he's let his rivals through without any problems at all. All four of them. Marco Lucinelli has been lapped, and he is right out of World Championship points, no doubt about that. It's going to be an enormously close thing for the World Championship when this race finishes, if Roberts or Mamela win the race. Lucinelli leads the World Championship. Mamela is in second position, 16 points behind Lucinelli. And Kenny Roberts is in third position. And the lap time now is 1:33.04. They're being astonishingly consistent. 113.3 miles an hour, lap after lap. And they're getting in amongst the tail enders. There could conceivably be a change here, although it is far less likely in motorcycle racing than it is in car racing, because as you can see, the bikes take up far less of the width of the circuit than the much, much wider cars. Let's see, lead time. I was wrong. Cork Ballington is now right with Roberts and ahead of Mamela and up into second place. The Kawasaki is going as it has never gone before.
Now, that's for sure. The nice thing about it, of course, is that they're able to sort of control the race at this stage, and
that's Middleburg. Middleburg in fourth position. They're in amongst the tail enders. They go straight past Alex George, the man from the Scotsman from the Isle of Man. They're closing up on Barry Woodland now, and round the corner they go, and it is Mamela, Roberts, and Middleburg is temporarily up into third place as 8 of them go round and somebody's off. I don't know who it is. We'll find out, we'll let you know. Meantime, up at the front, there is the battle, and they're fighting clear of the tail enders. Mamela leads, number 1 Roberts second, number 11 Middleburg is third, and down to fourth position goes Cork Ballington, and that is Barry Woodland, number 44, that we're looking at, or were looking at. And we are now on lap 18 in this 28-lap race. Laps 14, 15, 16. Kenny Roberts crossed the line first. Lap 17. Randy Mamela, number 3, the 21-year-old American from Santa Clara, California, crossed the line first.
I'm trying to see where Cork is. It appears that during that lapping, he either got dropped back or else he's in some form of problems.
I don't
because
see,
now we've got Ballington.
The first 3 have now shaken back clear of Ballington for some reason or another. We'll watch very carefully as they go through Abbey and complete the lap for Cork Ballington. Roberts comes up alongside Mamela, and he's going to take the wide line and the lead in the process. Roberts, Mamela, Middleburg is the order. Lucinelli goes through and has been lapped. Not a sign, and I'm looking right down the circuit as you watch these riders go to Cox, and Ballington is coming into the pits. Cork Ballington is coming into the pits. There he is. A fine, determined ride. There's the Kawasaki.
That's a great shame, actually, because speaking to the mechanics during practice, they said they just hadn't had a single engine blow up for the past 4 Grand Prix. They just ran the engine for 1,000 miles and that was it, so great shame.
So, Sheen out, who could have won. Crosby out, who could have won. Spencer out, who couldn't have won, I think, to be fair, but was riding extremely well and better on the Honda than it's ever gone before, as Mamela comes up alongside and again takes Kenny Roberts. Cork Ballington out, who might conceivably have won. There he is with his mechanics, who include his brother, and there's no doubt about the fact that Barrington is out. And we are now on lap 19 in this 28-lap race with temporarily Pamela leading. Over the line again, and that is 19 laps completed. They are now on lap 20. No change. It's going to be right down to the last corner. It looks as though it is, because neither Mamela nor Roberts seem to show any sign of breaking clear. Middleburg could still, the way he is riding, and that's number 11, Jack Middleburg, the 29-year-old Dutchman. He could still conceivably do it. It's unlikely. It seems certain to be between Roberts and Mamela, but we'll see soon enough.
Well, he should, in fact, be somewhat down on power, because he's got the last year's model Suzuki. But one never knows, and it may be the question of a temperature or something. The important thing to watch will be the performance up the straight, under the bridge, into Woodcote, because obviously the race could run to that being the last stage where it's settled.
Let's recap again on the World Championship situation. Marco Lucinelli still leads it, and he leads it by 16 points ahead of Randy Mamela, who at the moment is leading. If Mamela wins, he will get 15 points, and that will mean he's only 1 point behind Lucinelli as the World Championship Series goes on to the next race. Then Kenny Roberts would get 12 points if he finished second. Well, there is no point in hypothesizing. We'll have to wait and see, but he's going to be very, very close for the championship. And Middleburg riding, I would think, better than he has ever ridden before, including his Dutch TT win, because as John has pointed out, he is on a slower bike than number 1 world champion Kenny Roberts and number 3 world championship contender Randy Mamela. And they are on lap 21. In 4th position at the present moment behind them is Bernard Foe, who has moved up. In 5th position it is Mark Fontaine. In 6th position it's Bert van Dulmen. In 7th position it is Stu Avant. And in 8th position it is Ikujira Takai, the Japanese rider. And the battle for the lead continues. Down Hanger Straight, Roberts, Mamela and Middleburg.
What is interesting there is that whereas Roberts can pull out of the slipstream of Mamela and pass him on braking, it doesn't appear that the same quite applies the reverse. It may be that the Yamaha has just a slight edge on top-end speed.
Are you going to stick your neck out and make a forecast for the win, John?
No, at the moment I think they're weighing each other up too well. I cannot believe that this is the true situation. I think that what they're doing is they're testing each other, they're seeing where they have a slight advantage, and that they will then choose a part in the race when they will try and make a break.
And the great news for British motorcycle enthusiasts is that Dave Potter is up into 7th place, the man who won the Superbike Championship, and Middleburg waves. The man Potter is up into 7th place, notwithstanding the fact that he is riding with a broken bone and in great pain in his left arm, and has a special tummy pad to take the braking stresses from the Yamaha here at Silverstone, and they are very considerable. The lap speeds are going down slightly, and Middleburg goes up. Middleburg moves up ahead of Mamela. Tremendous stuff at the front on lap 22. We're getting towards the closing stages of the race, and the pace is not diminishing at all. In 4th position still Bernard Foe. Let's not forget there's a lot of other riders. There is Foe, and right with him, number 16 in 5th position is Mark Fontaine. So there's just a close to battle for 4th position as there is for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And it's these two Frenchmen who are battling. And behind them is Bert van Dulmen. So there are 2 Dutchmen in the first 6 places. Middleburg, who is 3rd, van Dulmen, who is 6th. And Middleburg is the 3rd of these 3. Roberts leads this time, Mamela 2nd this time. Middleburg is still 3rd, and they're coming up to close and lap yet another tail ender.
And this is the critical point. It's a point of how they will get out of Club Corner and take the acceleration under the bridge down here into Woodcote. Because remember that dice with Barry. Remember the dice which took place with Barry some years ago, that was a critical point. And it does look as if the Yamaha has just a slight edge on top-end speed. Mind you, the Suzukis were fitted with bigger bore carburetors and a different exhaust system to try and improve the top-end speed for this particular race.
1 minute 33.01, incredible consistency, that lap time from Kenny Roberts, 113.3 to the nearest 100th of a second. And steaming out of the corner ahead of the three who are battling for the lead comes Christian Saron, number 32, the young Frenchman whose brother rides in the Honda Works endurance team, and he's going to be lapped boom, boom, boom by Mamela, Roberts and Middleburg, or is he?
What you've got to think about on the times also is that they're, to a certain extent, spoiling. They're tending to take corners and they're positioning themselves on the road so that the other cannot sort of take that very vital little piece of road.
Well, this might be Roberts' chance for a break. He is ahead of Saron. Now, no, it wasn't. There's plenty of room on a motorcycle to adjust your line and get through. Potter is in 7th place. Steve Parrish is in 9th place. And Chris Guy, who I think we maligned by accusing him of falling off yesterday when he did no such thing, is in 10th position and riding well. The man who won the 2-lap senior TT this year, Chris Guy, but when it was stopped, is now into 10th position, and there is the battle for lead, and it is now lap 24. Roberts, number 1, Mamela, number 3, Middleburg, number 11. So it is temporarily a Yamaha in the lead, a Suzuki in 2nd place, a Suzuki in 3rd place. The lap time exactly the same again, 1 minute 33.1. And we are looking at world champion Kenny Roberts.
It's a little early to say, but it seems as if Kenny is somewhat satisfied with those tyres he managed to smuggle out of customs yesterday.
I talked to Kenny just before the race began, and he seemed incredibly relaxed. He's a very low-key man, has a very, I understand, slow pulse, and he certainly controls his emotions magnificently, but he's riding with tremendous fire and determination now. After 23 laps, there's the order. It's a 28-lap race, and it confirms that then Roberts, Mamela and Middleburg with Faux, Fontaine and Van Dulman, the Dutchman, in 6th position. And Kenny Roberts has now got, for this race, a tremendous lead. It must be all of 3 machine lengths.
Well, this is one of the problems which I hope doesn't affect the race, i.e. that they don't come up on a bunch of people to lap just at the very crucial point of those last few laps. This could make all the difference. But as much as these two know each other very well, the fly in the ointment again could be Middleburg. If he happens to put himself just in the wrong point on that last lap, it could upset all their calculations.
Randy Mamela, who is in 2nd position, and again takes his hand off the clutch side of the handlebars and looks over his shoulder to see where Middleburg is. And he saw Middleburg as close to him as he saw Roberts when he looked back earlier on. Randy Mamela freely acknowledges that he learnt all his tricks and a lot of his skill from the man in front of him, Kenny Roberts, who took Mamela under his wing earlier on in his career and helped to sponsor him and helped teach him how to ride a motorcycle at speed, and how well he succeeded and how well Middleburg is riding.
Well, one of the things here is that it's like the old saying, two's a company, three's certainly not, because that could be the problem.
Well, three's a crowd in this situation, and Jack Middleburg seems to be very anxious to break clear of them. I don't think he's going to do it, I really don't. But I take my hat off to him for the way he's riding, and he's riding on lap 25. At the end of this lap, in what has seemed to me the shortest British Grand Prix on record, and that's not because the race distance has been any shorter, it's because the race has been so terrific at the front. There are only 3 laps to go at the end of this one, and they're coming up to round Woodcote and cross the line and start lap 26 now. They being Roberts, Mamela, Middleburg, then a long gap before number 10, Bernard Faux, goes through, followed very closely by Mark Fontaine, followed at a respectful distance by Boat Van Dulman. No change in the first 6. The first three have gone, and soon Bernard Foe should come into the picture, and that shows you how long a gap there is between the battle for the lead and the battle for fourth and fifth, and still Foe and Fontaine had not appeared as the leaders start to streak. And again down the Hanger Straight, and again Mamela comes out of Chapel faster and goes down into Stowe Corner. The third gear, 110 right-hander. Dave Potter is now out of the race, and that's tragic. He was in 7th place and he's out of the race. So Potter joins the previous retirements who could have done well: Newbold, Ballington, Spencer, Crosby and Sheen. And still the race speed continues at a steady 133.3 a lap. And as I have said before, that is a speed of some 113 miles an hour. Coming up now, underneath the bridge, completing lap 26 into lap 27 in this 28-lap race. And the order is Roberts, and now, for the first time that I can remember, Middelburg actually crosses the line in second place. He's got ahead of Mamela. And am I seeing things, John, or is Mamela dropping back a bit?
Well, at that point he did, but it may have been purely the effect of Middelburg having gone by. This can affect the aerodynamically and such like, but at this moment the gap is in fact increasing.
And Mamela comes up out of the bubble, the Perspex windscreen in front of him, sits up, increases the wind resistance, and now on lap 27 in this 28-lap race, it does start to look as though Mamela has got Christian Saron closing on him, and Christian Saron, of course, has been lapped. That's the man in blue in the Hanger Straight. And look at the way Middelburg's machine is wobbling under braking. He's really giving it everything he's got on lap 27.
I certainly don't quite understand why this type of gap has been developed at this stage, unless Mamela is in some form of problem, or unless he has a lot of reserve.
Well,
he
must be.
He's in problem.
Mamela must have a problem, because look, he's right out of the picture now. He's dropped back. The previous winner, the 1980 British Grand Prix winner, Randy Mamela, is going to be taken shortly by Christian Saron, the man who he lapped a lap or so ago. And so if Mamela could catch, and there he goes. So the race for Mamela is not run, because if he can still keep going, he can still finish in third position. He's a long way ahead of Mark Fontaine. But now Middelburg leads for the first time in this race on lap 28, which is the last lap. This doughty Dutchman, 29-year-old Jack Middelburg, is leading the British Grand Prix on the last lap. And it is the fourth leader that we have had. We started off with Crosby leading. Then into the lead went Mamela. Roberts has led. And now Jack Middelburg is not only leading, but it looks as though he has been riding a tactical race, because he's making a breakaway and creating a real gap between himself and Kenny Roberts.
It certainly looks this way, but on the other hand, here we've got Kenny coming up on braking again, but not quite doing it.
This is Stowe Corner. There is only half a lap to go. From third into fourth gear, from fourth into fifth, it's 150 miles an hour as they come up towards Club and slow down and brake and go down through the gearbox and up towards Abbey.
And he's getting out of Club and getting past those two lappers is going to be the crucial point. This is going to be it.
Middelburg must win this British Grand Prix if he just keeps going. Unless something happens with these tail-enders in front of him, and he's going past Franco Uncini, number 12, and Middelburg goes into Woodcote Corner, and Roberts is closing right up on him. You can see for yourselves, it's just like 1979, and there's only going to be about 2 machine lengths in it. But a wonderful victory for Jack Middelburg, who has won the second Grand Prix in his career, and he couldn't have won the second Grand Prix better, in a better place, and Randy Mamela coasts across the line to finish in third place. And there is Middelburg's Dutch sponsor, absolutely and understandably and totally justifiably beside himself with emotion. And Middelburg actually looking quite relaxed inside that helmet of his. There. And Lucinelli is right down out of the points. So that that means to say, with Jack Middleburg having won the race and got 15 points, Kenny Roberts will have got 12 points.